Stuff. Let's get some hype in chat going. We've got 24 and Weso with the winner progressing forward and fighting Josie in our grand finals, and the loser going down into our third place match against Kronster, and possibly giving the redemption again. The difference there only, $250. Only 250 bucks, yeah. All things considered. So definitely a hype round of matches coming up for today. I think our players are ready. I think we're ready. David,
okay,
you ready for this?
Yeah, let's make it happen. I'm really looking forward to it. I loved watching 24 yesterday. That was a blast. In his side of the group stage, it was nothing but 3-0s, right? It was just dominance. Not just by him, but by everybody else who was in there. But he did, in doing so, yeah, he took down Baby Spine 3-0, and he took down Kronster 3-0. It just seemed dominant either way.
Well, we'll be careful what you wish for, because I feel like this one actually is going to be closer than most people expect. You didn't see it on screen there, but we did get some spins, some slight dancing in the pregame. Weso going ahead and bringing the Lance and the Avalanche nade. Okay. It seems like he has actually tailored this build towards countering 24's, let's just go ahead and say, unique style of dodging. But ended up taking some damage there himself.
Yeah, that is something that we've seen 24 just kill it so far, is in his dodging. A lot of other stuff too, but his dodging has been tremendous.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and 24 again continuing to bring that curve bloom. He talked about it yesterday. Yep. He saw that weapon, immediately fell in love with it, and he's pretty much kept that curve bloom on his build, regardless of everything else the entire time. Yeah, and some of them I'm actually going to go ahead and call out right here, and I'm sure we're going to see it as we get later into these matches. These two players are really making sure that they don't use any other weapons unless they absolutely need to. They're trying to really tailor everything, trying to make sure that everything comes off a cooldown when they need it to. And specifically with that Aegis shield, being able to have that uptime as much as physically possible is going to be really important for both of these players.
Yeah, you could just see Weso waiting for other stuff to spawn, and so while doing so, decided, okay, time to have some little hand signals in there. He's got to always be moving, this guy.
Yup, absolutely, especially against 24.
Yeah, even when there's something else going on, you just can't. Yeah, you don't want to freeze yourself, you want to keep moving.
Yep. Absolutely, taking just a little bit of, taking just a tiny bit of damage.
There we go, forcing 24
down.
Down. He finds
Alright, takes a lot of damage, but ends up getting 24 with the Luma.
Yes.
Brings 24 down to half health in the last 15 seconds. I don't know if he's going to have enough ammunition to get it done. But we're going to see, especially if 24 ends up taking out that majestic nade, or I'm sorry, the majestic nade. The Avalanche nade.
Yep. 3 on the clock. Weso needs all these Lumas to land right away. He doesn't quite get it. He did find some damage in there, but just not enough in enough time.
Oh, and 24 getting some push-ups in. Getting some push-ups in.
Come on.
24 is going to need to, I don't care how much energy he has, 24 is going to need to save at least some of it. He's going to be going up against Josie in the grand final.
Yeah, if he moves on here, that's where he's headed. Great dodging yet again. As always, he's just underneath so much stuff.
Yep. And it's really hard. Again, any projectiles hitting that podium are going to disappear. It's very hard when your opponent's playing so close to the ground sometimes to actually get stuff even through in the first place.
Waiting again, as you mentioned, for things to come out so that they can get the combos that they want. Finally, they both do at least something going. Those hammer E shots scoot right by Weso. Lance again, really setting things up, really trying to constrain anyway. It's not doing as good of a job as I think he'd hope, but he wants to constrain 24's movement. 24 just moving so well.
Yeah. Yep, it's immaculate. Managing to get around the beams and around that majestic nade.
Yep.
Weso seems more than happy to take a bit of damage to try and get some off on 24.
Okay, oh no, he actually moved into one of those raptor shots.
No!
These
players are a little bit more focused on having fun rather than doing the perfect plays all the time. Woo!
Did that dude just jump in the sky to pick up that Luma? That was genius.
Yeah.
You could see his avatar actually jumping. Oh, it connects with the raptor shot. And then again, 24 takes game 1.
Yeah, 24 absolutely grabbed the Luma and jumped over the laser all in one movement. Truly a Hawkeye level move right there. And yeah, I mean, Weso did I mean, all things considered, from what we've seen from 24 over the past couple days, Weso definitely doing better than most of 24's opponents.
Fair enough, yeah. He did a reasonable job in at least one of those rounds of trying to find stuff. But, you know, the idea of bringing the Lance in here, again, seems to me like you want to just constrain your opponent's movement, and those beams, theoretically, do a good job of that. But when your opponent is literally jumping over them in order to pick up their next weapon, like, good luck. I don't know if that's going to cut it.
Yeah, and very, very strategic movement. I mean, it really does take you really capturing everything in 1 second and being able to plan your movement out while you're, you know, maybe an hour into this overall set. So, you know, really impressive from both of these two players. Definitely saw, you know, a bit of action coming out of that Avalanche nade. As far as the Lance, I mean, 24 was just dodging directly through it sometimes. Yeah. And although he was taking some damage, not nearly as much damage as Weso needed in that matchup.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then thinking back on what he's picked before, you know, it's not always the Lance. Last time, in fact, he had almost the same build, except he had the Hurricane instead, if you recall. So that was something, you know, maybe a similar idea. One is maybe more horizontal, one is coming from the vertical top side. But, you know, you're trying to force your opponent into bad situations. But, man, forcing the movement of 24 just seems like something else entirely.
Yeah. Yeah, 24 is just in a constant state of movement.
It's funny, you know, hearing him talk yesterday as we were asking him questions and talking about how, you know, he is on the shorter side of things and how that is, you know, he's a speedster as a result, right? You can really see his avatar just motoring around the stage, always seemingly ready to be somewhere else and navigating well in between what is there. So, yeah, if you're Weso, you know, maybe you do go back to that Hurricane that you used to good effect versus Woody. Maybe you make some other changes to try to constrain the movement. But, boy, tough draw right here.
Yeah, and I think that we are going to see the change out of Weso here. I think that we might still see 24 pulling out a silly build like he did yesterday. But, you know, Weso, although he tries to hide it sometimes, he can be a very analytical player when he wants to be. I think that this was not a mistake, bringing the Avalanche nade and the Lance. I think he was specifically trying to really negate as much of 24's play area as physically possible. There was a comment in chat that came up. There is always the possibility of bringing out the double or maybe even the triple laser that we didn't necessarily see out of him yesterday, but is always a valid option as far as trying to fence off as much of your opponent's play area as physically possible.
Yeah, we saw that from Baby Spine versus 24, in fact. So I think that might have been where he was headed with that idea. He had Lance and Lance Repeat. He had Luma as well. So maybe he played that idea out in his mind as well. Like, all right, let's really cut off the screen for 24. 24 took that, nevertheless, and forced Baby Spine off of that build into something else after that. You know, yeah. It could be that, you know, Weso is thinking about that same idea and thinking, well, maybe here's some ways to improve on that. Maybe here's some different ways, you know, timings, places to attack. Certainly there are different things that you could do even with the same weapons, right? But yeah, that idea was tried, interestingly enough.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what else comes out from this set. I mean, there is also the option, we talked about it a little bit earlier, it's expensive, but the Super Majestic. You know, again, sort of switching your mindset from that of a, you know, trying to really inflict bullet hell on your opponent and trying instead to go towards just really fencing off as much of your opponent's play area as physically possible. Seeing none of that come out from Weso here, it seems like he's pretty much sticking with an approximation of the same build here. I think his only real swap may have been adding on that chart. Well, I'm sorry. He definitely is taking off the Luma and the Avalanche nade, replacing that with a normal hammer nade and that charge hammer that he did use against Woody. Okay. So interesting, he's kind of doubling down in the opposite direction, going even away from those hazards and continuing forward with some more of that bullet hell. So right now, currently just testing things out, making sure that everything's good to go. And we'll be jumping into things in just a second here. David, just looking at these builds, how do you think they're going to perform?
It doesn't seem like a bad idea to me if you feel like your opponent is so good at dodging against hazards to just say, okay, well, if that's not going to work, that's not going to work, and maybe it's an entirely different set of weapons that I have to go to instead. That seems like a reasonable call.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Trying to think if there's really, I mean, it's really at this point just going to be execution from both of these players. I think at the end of the day, you know, we can theorize as much as we want, but I think that it's going to be a matter of who manages to try out their build the best and execute on it. They're currently doing the chicken dance, but they were entirely synchronous
Come on,
with the chicken dance
I want to see.
which is absolutely incredible. An incredible show of skill from both of these players. Truly, as far as their dancing, it's going to be the tiebreaker. It's going to have to be for this tournament is, of course, the dance-off in virtual reality. Or maybe we should save that for the disco floor, the Ozo Lounge after this tournament.
Oh, no changes on 24 side. He's feeling confident, but as you said, there are a couple here from Weso.
Yeah. And again, Weso just really doubling down on the build that he ran against Woody minus the Avalanche Nade, which, all things considered, I think that he's been doing really good with that Avalanche Nade.
Yeah,
Another thing you're seeing him do is he's being really conservative with his weapons, trying to get that shield off of cooldown as much as physically possible.
Underneath there's Weso, mostly anyway. Takes a little bit of chip.
Ooh. Just to get out of the way of that nade, incredible.
Before setting up the hammer ellipse, the clamp comes. And a little bit of chip yet again. And you know, if he can find little bits of chip like that, that's fine. That'll work over time.
He's got to take it where he can get it. They're just so quick with these shields, too.
Yeah.
Really incredible stuff.
Yeah, doing a very good job of keeping that in hand. Okay, all right, Weso.
Woo! I need to take even more of those Raptor Ellipse shots. That Drunken Raptor Ellipse is truly paying off. I think that extra speed might be what's making the difference. 24 accidentally dropping his Luma right as Weso throws his weapon. And 24 is going to go ahead and take round one. Hey, you know what? Didn't get reduced down to 0 that round, though.
True. Finding some hits right away right there. Okay, hold on. Weso's in.
Well, Weso, don't celebrate too soon. Oh, don't celebrate too soon, Weso, as that Hammer pretty much brings him even.
Nade coming from the sky. 24 just knew where it was. He didn't even need to dodge.
Weso almost seems unbothered by the small bits of damage that he's getting hit with.
Putting his hand out as the hammer nade comes up. All right.
That ain't a small bit of damage. Doing 19 damage there.
Hey?
24 is at this point just getting a little bit cocky.
Look at it. 24 just settles into a crouch, I guess an IRL squat so easily, so quickly.
Yeah. And again, you know, it really at this level of play, ooh, nice snipe out of the air by Weso. At this level of play, they're really just trying to keep that shield on cooldown, or I should say off of cooldown, as much as physically possible, because it's such a pivotal part of being able to negate this damage from both sides.
Yep, there's that shield. Oh, but not all of it was blocked. Weso in trouble now and down in red.
24 actually holding the shield now, preventing it from being spawned on either side.
I'm trying to picture what that was in real life. I think that was him jumping and landing on his knees, maybe?
Maybe. Oh, geez. I hope not. Ooh, okay, there we go. Weso managing to hit 2 of those Raptor Ellipse shots. 15 seconds left on the clock. 24 going in with that Hammer Ellipse.
10 seconds. Weso Not gonna happen.
Not going to happen, and 24 is going to go ahead and take game 2. Oh, no! He hit the dab right in front of everybody, and we are going to go into yet another weapon swap. You know, I think these two are just having fun with it at this
They're
point.
clearly having fun with it. Yeah, no doubt about that, which is great to see. That is really cool.
Yeah, and you know, with a lot of these tournaments, we've seen a lot of players using what they're good at, what they've trained on, and then reverting back to things that maybe they think are going to be much better. And I mean, I can't necessarily get inside of Weso's head here, but I think that's exactly what we just saw. I think he thought, hey, maybe if I switch back to, you know, a build that's really worked for me against a lot of other players instead of what I've practiced, I'll be able to execute even more so. And I don't think, even though he managed to do, I think, a bit more damage there than he did in the last matchup, I still feel like that can't be what he settles on here in order to take the win.
Yeah.
Honestly, at this point, even if that's what he's going for.
The win?
The win, yeah. I mean, Weso is a very mental player. Very similar to, I would say, Master 17, where if he thinks that he is not going to be able to win a match, he doesn't necessarily want to spend the energy on trying to take it all the way back. Again, especially in these extended tournament formats where, you know, everyone gets super duper tired all the time, and considering that if he loses this, he has to pretty much immediately go into another match with Cronston. So, you know, that could be, again, sort of thinking out further, that could be part of the strategy. Not necessarily throwing, but rather just, you know, kind of conserving his energy and not worrying too much about everything.
Interesting perspective. It's something that just doesn't come up very often in video games. You know, usually you're not thinking ahead in the sense of, well, will I be too physically tired to be able to perform well in the third place match? If he does lose here, that's where he's headed, as you just said, versus Cronster, where you know, the difference between third and fourth will be substantial. That could actually impact. Sure, it's not something I would have thought of before, but I really like that perspective.
Yeah, and you know, it's definitely happened before in other tournaments as well. You know, there's been rounds even where Weso, rather than counting down the last 30 seconds, just goes ahead and sticks his head outside of his play area and just kind of microwaves himself to death. But not necessarily in a BM way. Again, just sort of in a, hey, I don't think I'm going to win this round. I'm just going to get out of here. But that can go both ways, right? If you lose that mindset of I'm coming into this match to win, then you'll never really know if you could have won.
Right.
You know, you got to really have that mental fortitude to say that even when you've gotten hit by 3 or 4 different Viper Ellipse shots, even when, you know, you're completely down on weapons and you have no shield and all the bullet hell is coming towards you, just being able to have that mental fortitude to sit there and say, hey, I've practiced, I'm ready for this, I need to stay focused in order to really take the win here. So, you know, if Weso's listening in, the one advice I'd give him is, you know what, you can beat 24. Or at least to beat 24, you have to be thinking about that. You know, if you go in with the defeatist attitude, all you're going to get is defeat.
Well, all right. We'll see if he indeed does change some stuff. He's you know, very stable in much of his build. He's brought in a lot of the same stuff almost each time here, has Weso. We've seen the Wildcat each time. We've seen the Raptor Ellipse has been in there. The Luma's been in there, right? There is a lot of stability in terms of what he wants to bring out. It's not like he's completely switched. But yeah, you know, having started out here with the Lance, didn't feel that worked. Having gone to the Hammer rather than the Avalanche,
he's got to go to the Lancer.
The Lancer,
that is what he has brought for us today. I actually have seen Weso bring the Lancer in other tournaments before, and he's actually performed really, really well with it. So, you know, hopefully this is the ticket that he needs. Hopefully he hasn't lost that winner attitude that I know he has inside of it. And I think that we are going to jump into our third match. Again, this is going to be set point for 12. Not yet, but this is, if 24 wins this, he is going to be going into the finals against JJJ Josie. 24 pole vaulting over the Lance R and landing directly on top of Aluma.
So he does, in fact, have that Lance R. It's right in there.
Yep. Again, 9-second weapon, definitely going to be weighing down a lot of his build. So he's going to have to use it very strategically and, again, really see when he can get it in. But using it right at the start of that round, using it again right now. Nade comes out, big combo, gets hit again by the Luma. 24 gets hit again by the Luma, but Weso goes ahead and takes his own Luma shot. And although he has a health advantage, it might only be 10 or 20 health.
Oh, nice!
Oh no, the nade hits the side of the arena and disappears for 24. Lantar's coming out again.
Oh, you can see how much it really limited movement right there by 24, and Weso capitalized.
Oh!
That's what you were talking about. That's what this can help set up, and he did do it.
Yep. And actually, pretty smart there, seeing that 24 had grabbed the shield, using the Wildcat to sort of just put pressure on him, wait till the shield pops, and then go in with the Luma, considering that the Luma was entirely useless with one hand. That was a very calculated move from Weso here. Can he finish it off? He can! And Weso's going to go ahead and take round one.
The beams are really making a difference there from Weso. Now, yeah, it's not something that you get very often, right? That's an issue with the Lance R, with the Lance Repeat. It's got a 9-second cooldown, but when you do have it come out, you can see how effective he's using it to set up other stuff.
Yep, and I mean, you know, it's a lot of investment that he has to put into it. I mean, just the Lance R and the nade by itself, that's going to be 14 damage. But again, you know, if he doesn't see something that he needs to use, like the shield or the Raptor Ellipse, he's not going to use it. So it's sort of, you have to kind of be patient with your entire build here and really use everything all at once. But I think he's doing well with it so far. We'll see if he can bring this through into a possibly another game.
Here we go. He sets up a very similar pattern yet again. Really trying to limit where 24 goes. Now 24 did do a good job of staying away. It's going to be a while until Weso gets that set up again.
Yep. And actually, even longer now that he's thrown out that nade as well. I think that may have been just a reaction on his part.
Yeah, you can see he's just waiting for stuff to come back. That's our nade.
There's a nade.
And he does find a couple of hits, and that matters in the way that they're playing right now. That little amount matters. He's probably got another one chance to make it happen before the end of this round.
Weapons could be the thing that pulls it back. Again, not even using any of his other weapons. He needs everything all at once if he can manage it.
That's the idea. He's got to stay away from what 24 is doing in the meantime. It's not like he can just play passively during that time. Weapon actually hits against his chest.
No Luma shots, though.
Here it is,
He's
just in time.
Gonna get one last shot at this.
Yes, Weso. The Aegis Shield coming in.
No! The Aegis Shield is going to be huge.
That was
24
huge.
here.
Huge, and he denied the
24
nade.
is going to take round two.
What's in that match point? But very well fought, closely fought. You can definitely see that Lance R has had a big impact here for Weso.
Yep. And, you know, we were talking about it a little bit right at the front of this stream, or at least right at the front of the NA bracket, using that Wildcat just to continuously apply counter pressure when you can. Just to ensure that, you know, if 24 is going to be firing off his combo, that he can't just be brain dead with it. He really has to think about what Weso's doing to apply that counter pressure and not get a couple of, you know, quick hits. Weso does not want to see that nade. Not at all, not even a little bit.
Here we go.
24 really grab the nade. It's not going to be good for Weso. Although he does manage to get one of those Raptor Ellipse shots through.
One thing I will say, though, is that 24's done a really good job. Oh, Weso gets hit. Well, 24's done a great job at holding off on using the Aegis Shield until it is real crunch time. You know, he's not. He's been ready with it almost each time the Lance R's been out. Yep.
And I will also say, applying counter pressure when Weso gets this big setup of it.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's one way to deny your opponent, not just by shielding what they're throwing at you, but preventing them from getting the setup that they even need in the first place.
Definitely.
And that hammer nade comes out. Don't know necessarily if that was the right option here, because it's not going to be available now that the Lance R is.
In the context of this round, the way that they're playing here in match point, that was a ton of damage. 24 down there. Weso moving forward to try to find it as 24 was stuck, and he still could not.
Yep, heading in the last 19 seconds here. I don't think we're going to be able to see that combo again.
No.
Okay, gets rid of the nade. Oh no, Weso!
Luma, another shot. And it lands! 24! 24 is good. Oh, the ultimate jerkery as he scoots way forward. You take damage when you're out of bounds, but he knew he could get the kill right before that. 1 second.
At the end of the day, regardless of how much money there is on the table, it's all about having fun, right? It's all about having fun.
That was great. Yeah, really cool to see that camaraderie like that, the fun that they're having. Also very cool to see the strategic change that Weso went through, having Lance, then trying out the hammer, then trying out Lance Rapide, and how 24 adapted to that stuff, you know, how he was able to scoot around, and then the closeout by him to actually dash forward into the out-of-bounds area to get the kill was awesome.
Yep. All right, we're only going to get a little bit. We are making our next room as we speak. So let's call in Captain Fabulous yet again. Cap, what'd you think? There were a lot of weapons to talk about during that set.
I mean, that was a game of memery and having fun. So, like, lots of dancing, lots of great dodging. I suppose the one thing that really everyone is going to pick out here is the third game weapon switch to Lance R. And I thought that was quite a good choice. It's something that we've seen Weso bring against 24 in the past and had success with at the VRML Invitational Tournament all that time ago. And we've also seen 24 struggle against the Lance R before against the likes of Monty Ban in VRML Finals. So it's very much picking the weapon to counter your opponent. But even then, 24's such a strong player. He makes dodging look so effortless. I think we're gonna see a clip at some point here of him just throwing two weapons up like it's nothing and just denying a nade, and it looks so easy and so fluid that even with the Lance R, even with a build which, you know, the community thinks 24 struggles with, 24's just such a good player and such strength at dodging that he was able to adapt after a first round loss and essentially just work out the patterns, work out what he needed to do, and close out the game. And to be honest, I don't think that 24 necessarily does struggle against Lance Rapide as much as a lot of people might say. There we go. That was that double weapon toss into the nade. Beautifully done. Very, very easy done. And it's something that a lot of people might miss. But I do like some of these loadout choices. I'm a big fan of Drunk Raptor Ellipse. So that's the Raptor Ellipse 3, which gives you more speed and more spread. I actually made a comment on the main Discord recently about how I thought that might actually be the best weapon in the game, because Raptor Ellipse is considered the best weapon in the game, and I actually think that might be the best attachment for it, because in high-level play, although it is harder to aim it because you get that spread, it's also hard to predict where it's coming from for top players, because top players they will see a Raptor Ellipse kind of normal attack pattern and know where those bullets are going to go. And someone actually said that's wrong. You know, because I said that spread might have actually been a small advantage in itself, and they said that spread is not an advantage, it's definitely a downside, doesn't help, and that person was Weso. So hopefully 24 might have proved my point over here today. I thought both players played really well, and I think I would, if I was Corn Star watching Weso's dodging this game, I'd be going into the next game with a bit of... I don't actually, if I'm Corn Star, I'm just having fun and memeing. To be honest, the next game's going to be really fun.
And you know what, playing against Weso either way is usually fun, win or lose. So, you know, again, we saw a lot of great plays, a lot of great camaraderie between those two players as well, which, although, you know, we're here to really highlight everything, you know, it's really great to highlight just how fun the community is, and really at the end of the day, even in these super serious tournament situations, we're all here to have fun, too. I do have one specific point before David gets into the question here. Backing away from the Raptor Ellipse. We've seen almost every single player who's run the Hammerade these past 2 days run the extra spread. However, we're only seeing it hit every once in a while, or at least me from the casting desk. What do you think about that? Why is everyone running that attachment over either base or over the slow Hammerade?
Well, slow Hammerade was the dominant force before the last patch, but then they nerfed it quite considerably. The reason you use that fast spread Hammerade is because it does have increased spread, which is a downside in a lot of ways, but the bullets are a lot faster. They also do 50% more damage. They do 6 rather than 4. And the player who actually told me why he used it the most was Josie, and he basically made the point that it's just consistent damage. And consistent damage in Blaston, if you are able to consistently, throw it out twice and you get, 6, 12 damage from 1 or 2 hitting, just means that, that's a huge advantage at high level play when you see players dodging everything like we're seeing at the moment. But why they're missing now is because we all know there's a hole in the middle. So people go through that hole to try and get out of the way of the spread. But that also opens you up, because if you go through the hole, the person who threw the nades will know where you're going to go. And then they've got a Luma in their hand, they've got a Viper in their hand, and they're just readying that shot to hit you as you go through that very telegraphed movement through the hole of bullets.
So our third place match is going to be Kronster versus Weso. Can you tee that up for us? What should we be looking forward to in that match?
Oh, we should be looking forward to some lovely Viper play from Kronstar and some lovely dodging and dancing from Weso. Honestly, if we go by past historical performance, I think Weso probably is the favourite going into this match. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of flair, a lot of style. Both of these players are very stylistic. You can always tell when you're seeing a Kronstar or Weso play. And my recommendation is just sit back, enjoy, and get ready for some very fun Blaston.
All right, you heard him. So if you are watching, make sure that you don't go anywhere. I also want to point out that as you guys are talking about the community, one great way to get into it would be to go to discord.gg/Blaston and get involved. And if you are watching this game for the first time, lots of very helpful people in there, lots of great contents in there already, great guides in there too. So it's a really good way to get involved.
All right.
You can also you can also check out Blaston on Twitter and on Twitch. You're probably watching on Twitch right now, so just hit the old follow button down there. Make sure that you can see stuff that's coming up in the future. And speaking of the future, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back with the third place match and then the grand finals for NA after this.